Hello everyone, I'm Forrest McFreelava, and this is Mayan Speedplay number 20. We left off at peace. We are just about to declare war on the Castilians, which we go ahead and do. They are only islands and bits of Africa now. We also go ahead and make a few additional states, trying to find areas that'll give us a decent amount of income. I used to think that there was some sort of income or provincial income map mode. Can't really find one now. We're going by the development map mode because I thought, well, provinces with the highest development will have the highest income, will give them most as states. Didn't really turn out to be all that true, so there's probably some better way of going about it. We do go ahead and make a trade company down here in the Cape of South Africa, which does give us an additional merchant who we're going to just plant somewhere over here, like up in the Chesapeake Bay. And we do go ahead and just attack the Castilians a bit. Since we made so many states, we have to go ahead and add a few more estates. And we do have about 26,000 men. We get a revolt over here, conveniently close to our army, so we go ahead and just fight them. We also bring our other army to the boats because it doesn't look like we're going to win. And yeah, it's not going to go well for us. So we go ahead and pluck up our 29,000 men, getting a general, or a conquistador, which is kind of ironic considering we're the Mayans, and ship them on over. Hopefully that army will be able to work it all out on their own, although we do have the other army nearby just in case. We do get a rebellion over in Cuba and that whole area, 3 in fact, so we're going to have to go over and deal with all of that, and unfortunately we don't really have the ability to deal with that before they take over any provinces, so we're going to have to deal with just revolt risk and whatnot. We do go ahead and check out where they're going to end up. We don't actually beat them there, but hopefully we can beat their siege efforts. And it looks like we just narrowly make it, so that's good. They don't spread to the mainland. Besides all that, we get 42,000 men, our whole army basically, and just destroy that group. We go ahead and consolidate our regiments and just build up new armies to replace them. Something about our infantry just loves to die, and that's pretty terrible. We do send 26,000 men up to the north in order to just deal with all the rebellions up there. We have been having one significant time dealing with rebellions. It seems like it's every day with these things, and we do have just a plethora of groups. It doesn't seem like it's something we really should be having since we have +2 stability, no war exhaustion. Although admittedly we did take a massive amount of lands over a very short amount of time. It's all the wrong religion and wrong culture, and none of that really helps us at all. We also get a regency council. That's kind of terrible. Now the good news though is that our really awful heir, Mediocrities, who I kind of had fun naming, died, which is why we're in a regency council now, because we have a new heir. But our new heir is pretty awesome. There's something like, I think 543, Mediocrities was 114, so it's pretty great. Our Regency Council, I believe, has 403 as its stats, which is a lot better than Mediocrities even would have been. We just can't declare wars. However, we do get football. We go ahead and take that since we don't want to give influence to replace the theologian we have. And we're just going to siege out the Spanish, or the Castilians, as much as we can. We don't want Congo as a protectorate since we'd probably be dragged into some other war we don't really want to fight, and then they'd be stuck as a protectorate, and that's just not all that ideal. Unfortunately, the Castilians had armies over here in these Pacific Islands, and the only reason that I made peace before taking those was to avoid sending our army to the Pacific Islands, which we now have to do to deal with the rebels who spawned there. So that's a mouthful way of saying that we ended up having to send an army into the Pacific anyway, and now we also get nationalism. So that's less than ideal. We also have a just plethora of rebellions still wanting to break away. If you're noticing that this video is going by a bit quicker than all of the others usually do, it's in large part because most of it is us just dealing with all of these rebels. Now, that isn't necessarily a terrible thing, and at that point we just drop off a group of mercenaries so we can disband them. And there we go, we disband them. But we get tons of revolts just all over the place, and it doesn't really seem like it's getting better with time. And that's a bit upsetting since there's only about 100 years left. If we weren't in this Regency Council and were actively fighting wars, then I'm not actually sure what we would be doing about this, as we'd probably be launching attacks somewhere or other, and this would really be setting us back. Luckily though, I personally think that waiting the 14 years for our new heir to actually become a legitimate ruler is less detrimental in the long run to our state than having mediocrities rule for the next 60 years and just making us fall behind technologically. We also are getting events that raise our stability, which is pretty spectacular. And at this point, we don't really have any active rebellions going on, although as you can see, there are quite a few getting ready. We do go ahead and switch our government type to an absolute monarchy. We still get -1 revolt risk and also 5% morale for our armies. I take a moment to look if we can build any trade buildings, however they've all been built already by the Caribbean state that we've just fully annexed and inadvertently pissed off the people of. Anyway though, we are definitely not in a bad spot, all things considered. There are rebellions, they are fairly frequent, and just due to our lack of missionaries and large number of provinces to go after, it will be a problem long run, but hopefully it will get better with time. We went and looked over at the diplomatic situation in Europe, nothing really to note. We do also raise autonomy in a few areas, just because honestly at this point I'd rather have a few provinces not give us resources than just constantly be shipping our armies back to them. And besides, since they're not states, it's already at 75% anyway, so it's not really losing anything. We do go ahead and make a few additional states though, just because we have a glut of admin points since we haven't been conquering anybody, weirdly enough. 13 colonial separatists appear to be about to break free, or at least attempt to. We consider getting humanist ideas, however I decided against that since I would much rather just convert everybody even if it takes a lot longer. And we consider annexing Jollof. We also managed to go ahead and get a stability event, or not annexing Jollof, alliancing Jollof because they're fighting the British. I don't do that though because I'm not actually all that keen on fighting the British while we have rebellions basically about to launch everywhere. We do go ahead and get that revolt, so we send our army down. Hopefully we actually manage to head it off this time, so that's fantastic. No more years of separatism, so hopefully we're actually making progress on that. Once again, we consider but do not actually ally Jollof. Since we might get other rebellions, I think it has actually calmed down now. So it was really probably no longer actually than a usual amount of time it takes for rebellions to calm down. It's just that we had so many places to, deal with. Alright, so we have a moment of calm. Kong, our ally, does call us to war, so we go ahead and just set up all these British territories as places that we want as national importance, because I very quickly checked and saw that they were at war with Britain, and we were being called to war. And I know that Britain was allies to Austria, and I didn't really pay very much attention. What I didn't realize until pretty much right now is that we're only at war with Aragon and Leon. And in fact, where is this moment of realization? It happens pretty quick. Alright, yeah, it happened at some point just now, but I realized that we're not actually fighting the British. In fact, we're only fighting Aragon and Leon. And since our armies really aren't going to be doing anything except fighting rebels, who we have dealt with, we do go ahead and just start shipping them over into Africa. So for the first time, really I think ever, we are sending armies over into the old world. We also have to do some weird back and forth with our navy in order to get them to fight those other navies, but we managed to actually get into that fight. We do go ahead and start dropping off troops. I think we're roughly equivalent to the Europeans now, just in army capabilities, although our infantry does have a tendency to die in droves when actually fighting, so we're probably going to avoid conflict unless we have a significant advantage in numbers. Speaking of, we're going to be bringing another army equal in size to the entire Aragonese army in the region, and turns out that's a lie, they have 2 armies there. So we're going to avoid them because they're doing exactly what we wanted to do to them, to us, until we can get this secondary army involved, and then hopefully we'll be able to just cut one of these armies off from the other and just wreck it. We also go ahead and unsiege the province they've sieged because, hey, if their armies are going somewhere else, then we may as well. It looks like our poor ally Kong is just going to get wrecked right there, and they do. However, we did unsiege that fort, and our armies are now both here, so we can set up something akin to a wall and just kind of wait until they run at us. And since they have more men than we do, they're probably going to do it right there. Unfortunately, we can't go directly because of a fort, so that nearly screws us over, but we managed to win it in the end. With that all said and done, we go ahead and split our armies apart, since that army has no morale and the other army is significantly smaller. We also get quite a bit of ducats due to an event, and also do a little bit of colonizing, build some transports, all that. We do win the battle, but not stack wipe their army. We go ahead and just chase down that other Leonese army. It's interesting that the Iberians are still being a problem even when both of the colonizers have been annexed, which is just an interesting little side thought. But their armies are all destroyed, which is pretty cool, so we go ahead and ship one of our armies over into Latin America, where we get a rebellion, which is slightly less cool. Alright, our forces are shoveling on over. It looks like we're going to lose those two provinces, get national unrest and whatnot. We do send our other transport navy over to where the northernmost, Peruvian rebellion is located, because really we may as well just keep our navies with our armies if we're not going to have an army near the Pacific. We also go ahead and ship those troops around. And okay, so the goal with this is just going to be we're going to drop these troops off and then hopefully remember to send the navy back over to Africa. We also, I realized, just should probably build new infantry, so we just hire a whole bunch of mercenaries since we have the money, and just compress all of the other infantry groups. It just took a toll on our manpower for no real reason. We do a bit of colonizing, and ship some troops over to Greenland, where we get a native revolt, so we just send them both to that one province. We do go ahead and just attack those rebels, and send the other fleet back. We go ahead and send our army to go deal with that. Everywhere else things are going pretty fine, and we're going to go pick them up, turn off the fort, and rush over to the Iberian Peninsula, and for the first time invade Europe when we get back. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe.